Okay, so this week we had to do a reading log assignment over a book that had won the Bill Martin Jr. Award. So the book that I chose was The Hat by Jan Brett. She is the author and the illustrator. It was published in 1997, and she was awarded the Bill Martin Jr. Award in 1999. The genre of this picture book, I put picture storybook, a fable, and a fantasy book because it does teach a lesson, and then it falls under the animals can talk fantasy line. So there's multiple genres that I think it could be put in. So how the story goes is that in The Hat, it is set right when winter is about to start. And in the description at the beginning, it said that it was like depicted as a Scandinavian farm. So it's gonna be cold. They're gonna have a hard winter. And so Lisa, the girl in the story, she's getting ready for winter. And she is digging out all of her wool clothing and airing it out because she knew that it was going to be a harsh winter. So she hangs it up. And then the wind in Scandinavia is obviously harsh. So one of her stockings blew away. And then Hedgie the hedgehog found it. Well, it ended up getting stuck onto his little bristles and right where his head is. And he goes on his way back to the den, and he gets made fun of by lots of different animals for wearing a hat for no apparent reason. But every single time he has an encounter with one of these animals, he makes up a reason. He goes, "Laugh today, Gander, but tomorrow when it rains, my hat will keep me dry." And he seems to be very proud of the hat, when in reality, he's just coming up with an excuse. When he runs into the ears, he said, not the ears, the cat, he says his ears will be warm with the snowstorm. And when he runs into the dog, he says, "I'll be cozy and dry when it snows." Now, at first, all of the animals seem to make fun of Hedgie for his weird looking hat. But towards the end, like every time he has an encounter with them, they run off to go do something. The story doesn't say though. And so he eventually Lisa comes back to get her stocking because obviously she wants it back. And she says, "You ridiculous little hedgehog, don't you know animals don't wear clothes?" Well, he's grateful that he does not have the stocking on his head anymore. He can finally fit into his den. He's had a long day. He's ready to go to bed. And then all of a sudden, he sees all of the other animals with their own clothing of Lisa's on. So he started a little trend. And then he states at the end how ridiculous they look. Don't they know animals should never wear clothes? So something I really like about this book is that it kind of gives like a rustic, warm feeling, and it has like a frame almost. And on the edge of the illustrations, it shows different parts of the story. Like over here, she's looking for the stocking. She's getting closer as she goes. In the beginning, it shows like which animal is going to come next in the story at the same time. And it's really cool because it shows a different part of the story that isn't necessarily written in words, but it does in the pictures. Something that I related this book to from my personal life was that in the 4th grade, I got glasses for the first time, and I was made fun of a lot for that. But over time, I started coming up with reasons like, oh, well, I got an A on my math test because I was able to see the words and the problems better with my glasses. And then all of a sudden, a lot of other people wanted to start wearing glasses. So I think as long as you own a new look or a new part of you that comes about, whether you want it to or not, you got to have the confidence that goes with it. So what I would do for an activity is that this is a little bit more mature book, not necessarily because of its story, but just because of the wording used and that there's quite a bit of words compared to like kindergarten, preschool age. So for this activity, I would have a 1st or 2nd grade class read the book. We would read it in story time, and we would talk about the different feelings that the hedgehog might have experienced. We would talk about how he might have been embarrassed, sad, singled out, awkward, and we would describe what each of those mean. And then I would then have the students take one of the words that we decided to come up with and write about a time that they felt one of those ways and illustrate it with a paragraph and a picture. So this way, it's a great way to get students talking about different feelings and also expand their vocabulary.